Full Bloom is brought to you in part by the following. Welcome to Full Bloom, the award-winning show that celebrates life. Here's your host, Zita Christian.
Hi everyone, welcome to Full Bloom. I'm Zita Christian. I'm very happy to tell you that my daughter, esthetician Laurie Neronha, is back with us again tonight to talk some more about skincare. Laurie, thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having me again.
Now, Viriditas, Beautiful Skin Therapies in Providence is where you practice. And the last time you were on the show, we talked about, well, as your mom, I bragged a little about the fact that Rhode Island Monthly Magazine named you Best Holistic Skincare in Rhode Island, and quite an honor. And we talked a little about basics of skincare. We talked about the concepts of holistic and your use of stone therapy, sound therapy, vibrations in flowers, the essences of oils, and talked about the use of angel cards, all sorts of things, as well as basic skincare and some home skincare. But tonight, I want to talk with you about some of the advances that have been made in skincare, particularly some of the technical advances, and talk about how the right kind of skincare can address real problems for people. So with that heavy agenda, one thing before we start. I do need to let you in the audience know we're going to show several clips tonight of skincare that Laurie performed on me while I was in her studio in Providence. And one of those clips has some very high frequency, almost like a strobe light effect. So you need to be cautioned, and I'll alert you when we're coming up to that. Having given that little warning, tell us about some of the basic problems or the most common problems people come to see an esthetician for.
Well, primarily people see an esthetician, myself, for their everyday skincare, their basics, and what they can do with it. But people who are really having problems with their skin are looking for real answers that they can't get over the counter. And those people are usually coming with things like acne, rosacea, sun damage, and overall aging. They buy something off the shelf and it doesn't work, and they're trying to figure out why it's not working or what they should be doing that's more effective.
So those biggies, acne, rosacea, sun damage, and aging, there are things that a good esthetician can do to help address those things.
Yes, there are.
All right. Let's start first with the, let's get some information about the products. What are some of those new, or maybe not new, but more advanced types of products on the market in skincare?
Well, when I'm working with a client and formulating a program for them at home, we look at the basics. First you've got your cleansing, your treating lotions, what some people used to call toners, moisturizing, and sunblock. Once you've got beyond those basics, that's what you should be doing every day. That's your basic, like bathing.
Men and women.
Men and women, absolutely. And I cannot tell you there's a man anywhere that's not looked in the mirror when he's over 40 and said, honey, how come I have these little wrinkles? And I can say for myself that in my own household, the eye creams have been pilfered on occasion.
Yes.
Yes. So, but once you've got the basic routine down, in other words, caring for your skin, helping to maintain its hydration levels, that's what your basics are for. Then when you're really trying to address problems, there are, in my opinion, there are three things you really want to work into your routine.
Okay.
The first one is exfoliants. Now, I don't mean scrubs. Scrubs are a little bit old school. There's nothing wrong with them, but scrubs like apricot scrubs or meal scrubs, sugar scrubs, things like that. They feel nice. There's a tactile sensation and pleasantness to them, but ultimately they scratch the skin and they're not exfoliating in an efficient and effective way, in a healthy way.
Okay.
When I say exfoliants, I'm talking about things like enzymes, retinols, glycolic acids, or other acids like mandelic, lactic, tartaric acid. Those kinds of acids actually dissolve the dead cells Well, if you were to think of your skin as a brick wall, so you've got all the bricks and the little mortars, okay? That's really what your skin looks like when you look at it from a side angle and you just kind of stacked up. And actually, your skin is only 28 cell layers thick, which is just about the thickness of a sheet of fine writing paper. So we're talking very, very microscopic levels here. But if you picture those little bricks, your cells are the bricks. The mortar that holds the cells together it's intracellular glue. It's actually called intracellular glue. So acids, when you put an acid on the skin, they actually dissolve the bricks. They eat the bricks, if you will. Actually, that's backwards.
Okay.
Enzymes eat the bricks. Acids dissolve the mortar.
Okay.
So they do different things, and there's different benefits to each of them, and that's one of the reasons you want to see a professional esthetician for. They can help you decide which would be best for you. Perhaps you might want to use a combination of them.
Well, is something that is strong enough to do that, is that even available over the counter?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, my gosh, if someone didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, they could really hurt themselves. Which is basically why most over-the-counter strengths don't go, well, actually, it's illegal to sell anything over a 15% strength acid over the counter, because people do hurt themselves, unfortunately. In a professional setting, I can use up to a 30% solution. If you're looking for something stronger than that, and there are things that are much, much stronger than that, that's something you'd want to see a dermatologist for.
Okay. So in addition to the acids, what are the peptides?
Peptides and, excuse me, peptides are the second category of very important skincare. Yes. Peptides are reasonably new. I mean, they've been out for several years, but basically they're neurotransmitters. They're little tiny pieces of amino acids that are proteins, and they actually communicate in between cells and give cells messages. If you were to, excuse me, you think about this is your nerve endings, and this is the other side of the nerve endings, and the nerve endings talk to each other. Well, they talk in this little space in here. They talk with neurotransmitters, and peptides are the actual neurotransmitters. So we can go in here and say, oh, this is the peptide that tells the muscle to contract. Oh, and here's one peptide that tells the muscle to make more collagen. And here's a peptide that tells the skin to break down hyperpigmentation. So modern science has identified many, many of these little neurotransmitters in between the cells and taken them, multiplied them, synthesized them, and potentized them so that now we can put things topically on the skin that do similar things to injectables, like Botox.
Oh my gosh, so there are things that can be done, things that you have done to me that have meant that I did not have to get Botox injections.
And there's nothing wrong with that, and that's certainly an option for many, many people.
That's not my choice, though.
But that's not something that you wanted.
Okay. And what about retinols? That's a name I hear frequently.
Retinols. Well, that falls under exfoliants.
Okay.
Now, retinol actually falls into two categories. The three categories, again, are your exfoliants, your peptides, and your antioxidants. Now, retinol is both an antioxidant and an exfoliant. Retinol is a concentrated form of vitamin A. And what retinol does is it acts as an antioxidant on the skin, but it also speeds up cell turnover. And in doing so, it also stimulates collagen growth. Now, that doesn't sound like a big deal, but the reality is that our skin stops producing collagen when we're about 27. And the only thing that
those days long ago.
Yeah, boy, I'm there with you. So really, most professional treatments are geared at stimulating collagen regrowth. Because collagen, it's like the little mesh that makes your skin strong. And as the mesh starts to break down, the skin breaks down and you get lines and wrinkles and discoloration and sagging and all those very nice aging-related things.
Just part of aging.
Yeah, so anything we can do to make the skin make more collagen is very, very valuable.
All right.
And retinol is particularly valuable in that.
All right. Now we have tonight a couple clips that we're going to take a look at. And let's pull that first one up here right now. And I believe this one, what were you doing here?
Oh, this is actually a derm renewal peel. This is one of the professional strength glycolic acid peels. And I'm just applying it with a little sponge. Now, peels of this nature are called progressive peels, means that they're very, very light. They run anywhere from 3 to 7 cell layers deep, if you will. And this is just one of many, many kinds. This one is particularly nice because you can go right near the lips and the eyes, not over the lips, but near the lips, right over the eyelids. And as you can see, I'm concentrating on some of the areas that tend to show lines. For example, the right around the eyes, the crow's feet. That's sometimes what they're called. I don't like that word myself.
I like crows.
I do too. The nasolabial fold, right in there where you smile, and around the lips. The lips tend to show quite a bit of aging, unfortunately. You know, the other really important thing to remember about this is that, you know, Mother Nature doesn't see aging as a problem.
That's
so
right.
if you really want to address these things, and most of us do, I mean, who wants to look older before their time? And in this society where everything is airbrushed and plumped and boosted, and all those things are great, but not all of us are ready to do that. So this is one very nice option. So what this is doing is going to break down the intercellular glue, in other words, break down the mortar between the dead cells. And when it does that, as it's exfoliating, and of course you can't see it coming off, but it leaves the skin very fresh. Sometimes with a resurfacing treatment like this is not, technically it's not a peel. A peel is something a doctor would do. But a resurfacing treatment like this, sometimes there's a little bit of tingle involved. So the fan just helps to neutralize the tingle a little bit. Makes it just a little bit more comfortable. It's very pleasant.
It was pleasant, very pleasant.
Now, right now, I'm actually attaching a small ground wire to your arm because we're going to be doing a little bit of ultrasonic exfoliation. It's another kind of exfoliation, and because it's not just all about acids and enzymes.
But that's in another clip. We'll get to that one. Okay.
Now, this is a neutralizing solution because, again, an effective progressive treatment, resurfacing treatment like this, is about a 3.5 pH. We want to bring it back up to normal range, which is between 4.5 and 6.5. So I don't know if you can see a little bit of a fuzzy tingling on the side there.
That was quite the day. I remember getting all those various treatments, and that one was designed. Tell me again now, what did that do for me?
That broke down the mortar.
It broke down the mortar, okay.
No, but ultimately what it's doing is it's brightening the skin. You know, people will say, oh, I just don't have that glow. Well, the reason for that is that as your skin cells die, as they get old, and they build up on the surface, they lose their luminescent ability. They don't reflect light. So what you want to do is remove some of those dull cells so that the younger cells are the ones that are on the surface, and they will reflect more light, thereby giving you a glow.
Oh my goodness. So the glow is real. It's a physical thing.
It is a real thing, yes.
All right. We have another clip that we're going to take a look at now. And on this clip, I believe had something to do with ultrasonic. I'm not sure what all that was about.
This is the sound wave. Well, right now I'm just applying a treating lotion. In this particular case, we were using water. Ultrasonic uses a sound wave to exfoliate the skin. So what we'll be doing is it's a little spatula, and you'll see it momentarily. And it actually vibrates so fast that it creates more space in between the cells. And as you can see, I think our fantastic cameraman will be closing up there.
Yes.
You can see right off the edge the dead cells and the lotion, which is just water, coming right off. At the end of the spatula, as I'm working, I can see a little collection of sort of gray matter, if you will. And it's just dead cells, bacteria, debris, and so forth collecting on the end. It's funny, there's a little vibrational sensation when you apply it to the skin, but this is the only treatment that I will give to a bride on the day of her wedding because it's so gentle. There's no complication involved. There's no concern or worry that they'll have a reaction, God forbid.
Oh.
Just luminous and beautiful and smooth.
I do remember my skin felt extreme, like satin.
Exactly.
When that was
because
finished.
we not only did we take down the intercellular glue, the mortar, but we also took down the bricks. So everything came down to a nice fine surface.
All right, now we're going to show another clip here in just a couple seconds, but I do want to let you know this next clip is the one where there's some intense pulsating light. And this is all part of this non-surgical facelift, kennel lift that Laurie gave me this treatment. But for those of you who might be bothered by that high intense pulsating like a strobe light, you don't want to watch this whole clip.
Particularly if you have a tendency for epilepsy.
For epilepsy, correct. All right, so let's take a look at that clip.
Now, right at this moment, I'm applying eye shields. Now, the light is very bright. It is not laser light. It is it's LED light, but it is very, very intense. And just for comfort reasons, I like to cover the eyes. I'm also putting on a pair of sunnies. Like people would use it. It does look very spacey. Some people use that, when they go tanning, not listening, never go tanning unless you want to look really old really soon. Now, this is a gel that's applied to the skin in a very thick layer. It's very rich in hyaluronic acid and trace minerals and antioxidants, and it basically helps to conduct the electricity. This particular treatment, the Kinelift, is a combination of microcurrent and light therapy at the same time. When they're used together, they intensify the effectiveness of both. The light itself, in this particular case, we're using red light. The red light actually helps to reduce redness and stimulate circulation, and it also helps to boost collagen growth. Now I'm working on, on the large muscles of the jawline, including the masseter muscles and the zygomaticus muscles around the cheek. And what this basically does is literally lifts your skin. Not only does it shorten fibers in the collagen itself, kind of tightens them a little bit. It's very subtle, but it also tightens up the muscle itself. So the overall effect is a lift for the entire face and the entire contour of the face. Now, it's like exercise. It's something you need to do on a regular basis, to do repeatedly. You can go to the gym and work out and you feel really great, but if you go to the gym 3 times a week, you look even better and it lasts longer. This is a similar kind of activity. Now, I'm working, at this point, working on the orbicularis muscles and the corrugator muscles across the forehead. The corrugator is the muscle that brings your eyebrows together.
That's what it looks like with the lights off in the room.
Now, this is the second phase of the Kinelift treatment. Now, in this particular phase, the pulsing light has a much stronger effect on collagen growth. Now, again, collagen stops growing when you're about 27 years old. The only way to get it to grow again is to create injury. Well, modern science has found that there are other ways to create collagen growth, and one way is light. So we're taking full advantage of that, and as you can tell, it is very intense.
It was, yes, very intense.
It feels really good, too. What's very curious is that, some people find this, I hate to say it, but it's almost addictive because it's very similar to laying on the beach. Now, this is the third phase of the Kinelift, and you'll notice that it's not pulsing anymore, but the lifting effect is much more intense. So we're working again on the large lifting muscles of the jawline, and you get that nice, you can see it already. The contours of the jaw are a little bit more pronounced. And just removing the eye pads. And some people have very, very sensitive eyes, but these pads are made for surgical use and for laser use. So
there was no pulling at all. No, it was fine.
There's none at all. It's very comfortable. And then, of course, any good treatment also involves the application of some concentrates, or serums, as they're often called. And again, notice that I'm moving the product, not your face or not your skin. That's important at this particular level. This is an antioxidant serum, and antioxidants help to break down or stop free radical damage in the skin. Free radicals are another one of those very misunderstood concepts, but if you've ever seen a pinball machine and you see the bumpers at the top, and the ball will go from bumper to bumper and it goes very, very quickly, that's kind of what a free radical does to your cell membranes. Your cell membranes are the bumpers, and every time it bounces back and forth, it damages the cell, and damages the cell, and damage. What the antioxidant does is go in and take the ball right out of the game.
Oh.
You want antioxidants.
I want some antioxidants.
We all want some antioxidants.
Now, you can get those in food, too, can't you?
Absolutely, and that's the best way to get them. However, as I said before, Mother Nature does not see aging as a problem. So, one of the most effective antioxidants is L-ascorbic acid, which is a form of vitamin C. Well, you can eat as much vitamin C as you want, but Mother Nature is not going to shunt it to your skin. This is just not an issue for her. It's an issue for us, so you have to apply it topically to get the result.
Okay. Now, we have one final clip for that day of all this exotic treatment that I received. And this last clip, you don't need to look away. There's no flashing strobe lights or anything. But this one was something called a derma lift.
Derma lift.
So let's take a look at the derma lift treatment. And what are we seeing here?
Well, right now I'm saturating cotton pads with a concentrate, a lifting concentrate. And we're going to apply them to the larger muscles of the neck and chin. And I'm also using it to penetrate. This, the derma lift is part of the same equipment as the Kinelift. It's called a dermapod. And I'm also able to do microdermabrasion with it, which is another form of exfoliation. That one's pretty popular. Most people have heard of it. Many people have had it. But the derma lift is a little different. And again, there is no discomfort involved with this. What we're doing is deeply penetrating product. You know, you can put the best product on your skin, but if it doesn't get into the skin, what's the point? And our skin is a living organ. It is designed to keep things out and keep things in, but also to allow the transfer or the channeling through of what needs to move. That's why we sweat. That's why you can put lotion on your skin and it can absorb, because it allows that transfer. But the derma lift facilitates the transfer a little bit more intensely. Plus, it also helps to lift the muscle.
Yeah, we want those muscles lifted.
Absolutely. I like to do this treatment on myself on occasion.
All right, now it occurs to me. Now, I certainly have an advantage that a lot of people don't have, because you're my daughter and I can come into Viriditas, make the trip to Providence, no big deal, and I can get these treatments. But what about the person who cannot? What are the kinds of basic things a person should be doing at home?
Well, they should be doing their basic skincare, you know, cleansing, treating, hydrating, making sure they're wearing sunblock every day, eating a healthy diet. That's really important. And then beyond that, like I said, you know, try to work in those three big categories: the peptides, antioxidants, and exfoliants. So using a good exfoliant, whether it's retin A, whether it's a form of retinol, whether it's an enzyme or glycolic acid, there are a lot of them available. Most of what you get over the counter is acceptable. They're not. You're
not going to give you the results.
No, it's not going to give you the great result. It's just not. It's not. You know, it's a different grade of base product. You know, people ask me all the time. They say, "Oh, well, what's the difference between a professional product and an over-the-counter product?" I said, "Well, you know what? You can have cocoa and sugar and cream and vanilla, and you can have Hershey's chocolate, or you can have Godiva chocolate. It's the same recipe. It's the same ingredients, but the quality is different. The final result is different."
Or you get the burdock chocolate from up in New Hampshire. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's just so many good things.
That's the thing.
But the quality of the ingredient.
Yeah, they use the same ingredients, but they use it at a different intensity, at a different quality level, and that really makes all the difference in the world.
I want to go back to something you were talking about a moment ago. We were looking at the Kinelift, the non-surgical facelift, and you mentioned about that feeling being addictive, that it feels like lying on the beach, and it does.
It does.
Does that in any way get into that reason why people go to suntanning booths?
Yeah, absolutely. It does. They've been able to show that going to a tanning booth actually stimulates endorphins in the body. And when we're in a society that is under such intense stress, that anything that makes you feel good, which is what endorphins do, can be a little bit addictive. And in my area where I live, I can honestly say that there's a tanning booth about every 2 blocks. It's rather frightening. I want to say the University of Texas, or at least there's a doctor in Texas, I think it was there, who has actually proven that going to a tanning booth actually increases your risk of melanoma. Without question. I mean, melanoma, you know, I just can't imagine taking the chance. But the other thing is, you know, every time you tan, you're rapidly aging your skin. You're having an intense dose of UVA radiation. Yes, it makes your skin turn color, and yes, you get that tan. Whether or not you think that's lovely is very subjective, but it's not healthy, and it's your body's response to injury.
So let's get something straight here right now. Is there any truth to the concept of getting a base tan?
No, you're kidding yourself. Really, you're kidding yourself. You know, every time you injure your skin, you accelerate the damage. You know, and unfortunately, people who are doing that don't see it. You don't see it for 10 more years. It takes about 10 years for that kind of damage to show up on your skin.
And how does it show up? What does it look like?
Oh, It depends on the person. It depends on their skin, and different skin types will respond differently. But let's take a Fitzpatrick type 1. There's Fitzpatrick 1, 2, 3, and 4. A Fitzpatrick type 1 is like what we would consider Irish skin. 10 years after getting a severe burn, or even just occasional sun, even if they're wearing sunblock, a sunblock just prevents the damage from being intense. You're still getting sun. But what you'll see on the skin is intense hyperpigmentation. That's freckling or darkness, dark spots. People used to call them liver spots. They're not. It's hyperpigmentation. It's their skin's response to damage, to injury. Sometimes on a Fitzpatrick type 1, what will happen is the skin will freckle and freckle and freckle, and after a while, it will stop producing pigment. So you'll start getting white spots mixed in with the brown spots, which of course looks very attractive. Then the skin itself, the fibers of the skin, the collagen fibers start to break down, and the skin starts to lose elasticity. In some people, the skin becomes, with intense and constant exposure, the lucidum layer of the skin actually grows. Basically, you get a giant callus on your whole body.
Oh my gosh.
And that's leather. And I've had people say, oh, well, I'm not going to stay out of the sun. I'll just get a facelift. Well, guess what? You can pull leather, but all you're going to have is tight leather. It's still going to be leather. A facelift isn't going to change the character of your skin.
So let's say that a person's out there accumulating a lot of sun damage now. And they might have the idea in their head, well, when this begins to be a problem, I'll just go see my esthetician.
Don't come see me. No.
So we're not talking
I can help.
miracles
No, I
here.
can help, really. There are no miracles. There are no miracles. Marketing loves to put out that there are miracles, and doctors love to say, oh, you spent your life in the sun. Well, here you go. Here's the miracle. It's not to say there aren't things you can do to help, but ultimately your skin is alive. Your skin is an organ. You need to care for it. You need to give it love. You need to give it protection. You need to nourish it. Be nice to it. I mean, that's all you really can do.
All right. And I think two of the things that I want to talk about, it's going to have to be on another show because I'm looking at my list of questions and I know we're not going to get to them tonight. But I want to talk about two things. One is the idea of seasonal skincare, because I know from things that you have taught me that what you might do in one season you would not do in another season.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
And the other thing that I want to talk about, even I think really critical, is the concept of aging and the fact that, yes, Mother Nature does not view wrinkles as a problem. We do. And maybe we have a problem with that. And that's something I would like to talk with you about in a lot more detail, because I know you are the only esthetician I know who does not view aging as something to be defied.
No, I don't.
Something to be managed. But I'm seeing that we're out of time, I'm afraid. And I'm going to have to get you back on another show to talk about those two things and get some more information about the holistic idea of your practice, get into that in a little more depth. But Laurie Neronha from Viriditas Beautiful Skin Therapies in Providence, Rhode Island, thanks very much for making the trip.
And thank you
to
for having
come.
me.
Sure. And let me also thank my FB crew. And finally, and most importantly, thanks to you in the viewing audience. I say this every week, and I mean it sincerely. I do know the value of time. Thank you once again for sharing an evening with me. Bye-bye.
Full Bloom is brought to you in part by the following: